Hey guys, Jim Vinoski with Manufacturing Talks. Welcome back. I've got a big topic for today. It's regulations, and it's huge. It's the elephant in the room that we talk about some, but not near enough. I'm going to tear that Band-Aid off and dedicate a whole month to that. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I will dive into the details of that here in just a minute on Manufacturing Talks. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Manufacturing Talks with Jim Vinoski. Industry has a million cool stories, and Jim talks to the movers and shakers who are making them happen. Let's dive in.
Hey guys, welcome back to Manufacturing Talks. We've got, I think, a really important topic today. We're just going to dive into the top line of it because it's such a deep and far-reaching topic. I'm going to focus on it for all of my July shows and articles. Now, I started with it last week in my Substack. Maybe you read that. If not, I've got a link right down in the show subscription. Take a look at that. It goes into a little more detail, but the subject is deregulation, and I'm coming at it from a couple of points of view. One is it's something that I've talked about for a long time. The other is there's just growing discussion about reindustrialization, reshoring, bringing industry and jobs back to America, and I think all of that is phenomenal, and there's amazing stuff going on there. I don't mean to poo-poo that. My concern is that they're green shoots that might kind of wither if we don't fix some of the fundamental problems that drove jobs offshore in the first place. There's a lot of things that went into that, but I have long said that hyper-regulation here in America has been one of the key drivers. And I made the point in my article that when I talk to manufacturing leaders now and ask them, what are the things that are eating your lunch? What are the things we need to fix to make your life easier? Regulations never comes up. And I find that really intriguing in a couple of ways. One is, fundamentally it's a problem. And yet it's like we've become so accustomed to not only having this morass of regulations that we deal with today, but that it also only goes in one direction. The ratchet is constantly turning toward more and more regulation, more and more hurdles that you have to overcome to make something in America. And to me, that's something we have to fix for all these green shoots of reindustrialization and reshoring to truly take root and grow the way they can. Now, the Trump administration has done great work here. I think a couple of huge things. One is getting rid of the Obama era endangerment finding, the CO2 finding that said the EPA had the duty to regulate CO2 emissions, never passed by Congress, just invented from whole cloth by Obama and his minions, and has spawned a whole host of destructive regulations. Undoing that gives the opportunity to undo a bunch of those regulations and to prevent a bunch of other bad regulations from coming to pass. Trump also did away with some other regulations that were coming out of the EPA, the particulate tightening for power plant emissions. That was something the Biden administration tried to put into force, didn't quite get it done, and Obama undid that. It would have been just devastating to the remaining coal plants, for example, just to our general ability to make the electricity that we need to power anything, much less the high power demand industries that we need. So those are a couple of big ones. Generally speaking, a huge move was Trump issued an executive order saying that for every new regulation, every one new regulation promulgated by his administration, there had to be 10 more regulations identified for rolling back or undoing. So kind of just a philosophical approach there to say, the ratchet shouldn't only go in one direction. And in fact, with now nearly, according to the National Association of Manufacturers, nearly 300,000 individual regulations that manufacturers have to comply with. And that adds up to millions of pages of dense legalese that our industries have to grapple with every single day that they're operating. The handcuffs there on making anything in America couldn't be more stark, and the fact that Trump and his administration are trying to roll that back is a positive. The trouble is those are scattershot. They're little things here and there. Well, shouldn't say that. They're big things in some regards, but the overall effect, when you look at that broad swath of regulations that American industry has to grapple with, it's still very small. And I think we miss the forest for the trees. Regulations, they're pervasive. They're all encompassing. So we talk about things that are direct impact to manufacturing. EPA and OSHA being the two primary departments that come up when you talk about regulations, because they're the most visible and immediate when people, on the front lines of manufacturing, think about the onerous difficulties that our government has put in place. Those are the departments that come to mind. But you think it's everything. It's labor law. Labor law is huge. I had Sam Gregg on my show a couple of years ago, and he shared that of all the deindustrialization America has experienced, half of it's driven by labor unions and labor law. And so it's another piece people don't think about. They think about the unions and their impact, but the unions couldn't have had the negative effects that they've had without federal law constantly skewing things in the favor of the unions. And so I think unions came about for very good reasons. I have personally seen depredations by supposedly responsible and well-run companies that would curl your hair with how bad they are. Heck, I mean, look at DEI. That's a good example of something that flies right in the face of morality and our government's founding principles. We're going to discriminate against people because of their race, sex, and color. But those are the kinds of regulations that people just accept. No one. How many people have ever pushed back on that discrimination, that bigotry? Few, and that's another one that's growing, and there have been some moves. I mean, obviously, Trump has targeted that regime as well. But we need to take that broad view of what are the things that companies have to comply with day in and day out, and the things that layer on costs that make things so much more expensive here in America. Not just the final manufactured products that are always more expensive, but I've seen so much commentary on X lately from machine shop owners about the cost of inputs, metals and tools and everything being 5, 6, 10 times more expensive than you could buy it for in China. Why is it? Everyone kind of assumes that's just a given, that somehow there's this magic that means their stuff's cheaper and our stuff's more expensive, and you just have to do your patriotic duty and buy the more expensive stuff. Well, that's all well and good until your margins are razor thin and you got to do something to cut your costs. Going to the cheapest supply is a pretty good easy button, right? So why are things that much more expensive? And again, there's a number of reasons for that, but one of the huge ones that people just kind of ignore is regulations. So I've said enough for today. It's going to be my focus for all of July. I'm going to dig into some of the specifics, some of the big areas that we miss, some of the huge costs that we just assume are part of doing business, but maybe should be challenged and maybe should be undone. So here on Manufacturing Talks, on my Manufacturing Talks Substack, we will be diving into regulations all the month of July. So tune in then. We'll be here every week, every Tuesday in July, talking about that and diving in to see what should be done and how can we make things a lot easier for American manufacturing. That's it for now. Jim Vinoski signing off. Manufacturing Talks. See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to Manufacturing Talks with Jim Vinoski. Watch for new episodes dropping every Tuesday. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.